Boom, boom, boom. There we go. There we go. Second episode of the sister project to the FENcast. For now, it's going to be called FEN Talks. I'm not really sure. And yes, it is inspired by TED Talks and Tom Talks by Tom Segura. Today on the show, I have a very special guest. The first person from Australia that I've actually met, at least digitally. Angus Smith, an artist who works with a lot of digital art and a lot of other things. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for saying yes, man. When I started the FENcast originally back in the day, I was just taking shots, asking people if they wanted to be interviewed. And I felt kind of comfortable because it was Puerto Ricans. But now that I'm taking the leap and trying to interview international artists, it kind of became a little bit of a scary thing to do. But
Yeah,
thank you for saying yes. Thank you for saying yes.
I know. Hey, man, you only get good at these things by sort of practicing and repeating, and respect to it, because a lot of people try to set out to do podcasts and it never really hits the screen. So you're already one up on them.
Yeah. Thank you. So, as I said, Angus Smith, digital artist. I imagine that it all started with things using a pencil or a pen or whatever. But before we go deep into it, where can people find your work, man?
So I've got a website which is angvs.art. It's Angus, but with a V instead of the U. I've got a gallery on there, things from like logo designs, t-shirt designs, album covers, portraits, cartoon mashups, that sort of thing. Quite a wide variety of stuff. Being a freelancer, you kind of have to do a lot of different things because you want to get jobs from as many different types of people as possible. And I also have an Instagram, which is ANGVS, just the 5 letters. And yeah, I tend to post stuff on there. It depends on how busy I am. But yeah, people can see my work there.
Super dope. But dude, I found your work thanks through the Bad Friends podcast. They have their
Yeah,
Instagram,
nice.
and one of your pieces of work was in their Instagram, and I was like, this looks super cool. Let me check everything out.
Yeah, sick.
So thanks to Cheeto Santino and Bobby Lee.
They're the best, man. I love them. They're hilarious guys and they're
Yes,
hardworking. And yeah, everyone should check out the Bad Friends podcast for sure.
yes, indeed. We're actually recording this on the date that they released one on Puerto Rico. In Australia, is it Wednesday now or Tuesday?
It's Tuesday morning, yeah.
Yeah. So they released it exactly. No, today's a Monday. So yeah, the time zone difference is huge.
Yeah, you're a super fan. You already know when they're dropping, what they're dropping. You got one up on me, man.
So yeah, I found your work thanks to one of their posts, which featured some artwork from fans. So after going a little bit through your Instagram and your website, you mentioned earlier that you do a lot of cartoon mashups, a lot of pop culture type of things. So first things first, how did you get into the visual arts? And how have you developed this style where you combine, I don't know, either Sonic with He-Man or something like that? You combine all types of stuff.
Well, getting into like cartoon mashups specifically, I grew up watching a lot of The Simpsons, which gave me like, I don't know, the comedy involved was really interesting to me. And yeah, it's just nostalgic. And like my childhood was full of The Simpsons, watch it with my whole family. Our TV in Australia it was really limited before, all the streaming sites. You have Foxtel, but that's, I didn't grow up in like a super wealthy household. So we would just have The Simpsons. That's pretty much it. And also like Pokemon when I was a kid, that got me interested in character design and that sort of thing. But I don't know, I think I was just bored one day and I thought, what can I do to sort of show what I love about these cartoons and these video games? And I don't know, I guess it was just the opposite of creative block. And I just had this jolt of idea. And I think my first mashup ever was, it was a piece of Bart Simpson and Zoidberg from Futurama. And I kind of just overlaid their faces. I was just playing around with my tablet and it looked really cool. And I still have I still have stickers of that. That's another thing that I really love doing, turning my artwork into stickers. But I'll try not to venture off topic too much. So yeah, I don't know. I just I got into pop culture art because I saw some people doing it online that were doing some really cool projects, like Thumbs one. He's a pretty well-known pop culture artist. But yeah, I don't know. I just really like doing it. I like portraying these characters in a new way that you don't see on their show. But yeah, I don't do a lot of paid work with pop culture stuff. That's usually like my personal favorite stuff to do. And so, you know, when I've got some spare time in the week that I'm not working on client stuff, yeah, I'll try to do something with Pikachu. I mean, who doesn't love that?
It's super cool because I don't know if you're a fan of Dragon Ball Z as well, but it reminds me of the Fusion Saga when they were learning to do the fusion and it all went bonkers.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that. So I wanted to ask, is there a specific series or a series of characters that you have yet to mesh, but you want to do?
I've done bits and pieces. Like some of my favorite characters, like of all time, are like the Street Fighter characters. I think they're so visually strong, and they've got each character is so unique. Even just like the colors of the characters are so cool. Like Blanca, the green kind of electricity dude. And like, yeah, I think that Street Fighter, I think there's some untapped potential there. But you know, when you're trying to plan these projects, you're trying to think what's going to be well received. Do I want to do this for a monetary gain, or do I just want to do it for fun? When you're a freelancer, you kind of get caught up in that. Oh, how am I going to I have to make a living somehow. But then what I find doing personal projects is they're the most popular ones. And they don't make you money straight off the bat, but they help you develop your style. Maybe you'll learn some things doing it because you're not distracted by making a profit. But I think maybe something to do with the Marvel universe, but not do it so basic, not just do a character as Spider-Man, but maybe do, you know, a different take on Spider-Man, you know, get a little bit more creative with it. Think about doing stuff like a 3D toy design, and that sort of thing, going outside of the digital space, because it's got a lot of confines that I think, yeah, limit what the scope of your project can be. So I think that the Marvel thing, I know it's done to death. There's too many movies coming out, but I do want to make money from my artwork. And so I think that like a maybe toy design in that area, and being really careful with IP, because you don't want to get sued, because that's a nightmare. But yeah, that's something that I would definitely do. More Street Fighter stuff, some Marvel stuff, and do it with toy design for sure.
Super dope. You mentioned the toys. Have you considered other art forms as well? Like aside from digital art and toys?
Yeah, well, I've got some projects in the works. One of my long-term projects has a lot to do with sort of clothing design, and I've done t-shirts before, but not really under an umbrella, not really under like a succinct project direction. They're usually just one-offs. But yeah, clothing design, jewelry design is something that I want to dabble in. Toy design, as I said, and I know that the NFT space is very confusing, and like a lot of people don't like it. I'm kind of just open to learning about it. I understand that there's some unethical sides to it, but I'm not going to write it off altogether, because you know there's people to meet in that space that could make my life better in terms of personal life or my career. So I'm working with some people on some stuff like that. And if people want to keep in touch with my Instagram or something, I'll keep people in touch. But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff. I think the hardest thing is to focus on one thing and get really good at it, because there are way too many talented people out there to do stuff half-fast now.
Of course, definitely. primarily, from what I can see, you work on the digital space, but have you also worked on, say, like painting or collage, stuff like that?
Uh, I'm infamous for being an absolutely terrible painter. I need to do. I know that painting's like a lot of preparation, and you need a lot of patience to do that. I'll do some mural painting, just like fun characters, nothing huge. I've never done a paid mural before. I think I like price too high, and they go, "Oh, we'll find someone else." But I'm just being realistic with my skill set. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna say, "Hey, I'll do it for this price," and then run into a bunch of issues. But not a very good painter. I think I traded that all in with the iPad. I think the iPad kind of crippled that. But look, it's not too late. I could take a holiday from drawing on a tablet and get stuck into some painting. But I'll do some pencil sketches here and there. But it's usually 100% digital. Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Have you also considered maybe, because since you're very good at making cartoons and stuff like that, have you considered comic books at any point?
Yeah, comic books is another animal. I've done some concepts for people and some like refined cells. They're usually big projects, and it's a huge commitment to do a comic. If I was going to do it myself, I mean, I did one. I did a Bachelor of Design at the University of South Australia. Man, it was like 6 years ago, 7 years ago now, and I did a comic for that. But there's less pressure there. I was working in hospitality at burger joints. I had that financial security, so I had the freedom to sort of work on this elaborate comic that was called World One. And I think my teacher was like, I think we were meant to make like a children's illustrated book. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to do something cooler. I want to do something in depth. And being a digital artist, I could work really quickly compared to people that had to, painstakingly draw it with pencil and then use tracing paper to get the good copy. And then they would have to either paint or like use markers, and you have to wait for it to dry.
Mm-hmm.
I skipped all of that and just did it like all on computer. And I set out and I said, I'm going to do this comic. I'm going to do a 14-page comic. And he was like, I think that's a little bit much for you, mate. But that was exciting. Maybe I would do that one day. That's not on my radar, but I love comics. I think the old Spawn comics are sick. I just love the amount of detail in there. Yeah. And there's a bunch of other freelancers that do comics, but I think I'll let them do that. I'll focus on some other stuff, but I definitely respect the art form.
For sure. You've also worked with album art, be it singles or straight up EPs or albums. Have you considered doing music yourself?
No, I have the most monotone voice in human history, probably. I know a lot of Australians have the same kind of voice where it sounds like they don't care about anything. I couldn't do it. I've got friends that are talented in that space, and I offer them my help visually, but I can't hold a candle to all my favorite artists in sort of the hip hop space and like the EDM space. I think I'd stick to the visuals for sure.
You can always help them out on the visual side, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was gonna ask, a lot of your work, as mentioned previously, is very inspired by pop culture. Have you integrated Australian pop culture, or do you wish to do that in the future?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Australia's look, we're very similar to sort of the US in our culture. We don't have a really robust entertainment scene. We have a lot of reality TV here. And I just don't, I can't get around it. And all the big sort of cartoons and video games and that sort of thing, They come from Europe and the US. I mean, we're a pretty young country. We've only got like 21 million people. And so most people sort of work for companies abroad. And I'm guilty of that too. So I try to work for as many musicians that are local to South Australia, which is where I'm from, and Australia wide. But there's a lot more opportunities overseas. So to do with the culture here, we do have some quirks. You know, we've got the Bunnings snags. Do you know what that is?
Never heard of it.
There's we got our most popular hardware shop is Bunnings, and they're everywhere. They're like kind of like our Walmart, but they're just hardware shops. And they'll have a sausage sizzle out the front, and that's, you know, that's our culture. We popularize that sort of thing. So it's yeah, look, we could have more. There's some quirky stuff here, like Vegemite. There's a lot of food stuff. I think maybe that's what the extent of it is. But I should tap into more about culture, because some of my really some really successful artists here do that. But yeah, that's in the books. It's getting planned. I'm a bad procrastinator because I just start too many projects. So maybe I'll bump that one up to number 5 on the list, things to do.
Gotcha. The reason I ask is because in Puerto Rico, there's a big pop art movement as well, but a lot of it involves either sports figures or, you know, local television figures, you know. And when it comes to Bad Bunny, it's, you know, the biggest thing.
Bad Bunny, is he a rapper? I think I know.
He's a trap artist. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Trap
Right.
reggaeton artist. Yeah. But yeah, whenever he announces something or whatever, or he participates in a political event or whatever, you can bet your ass that there's like 5,000 of our artists. They're making at least one piece inspired by him.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
that's awesome. I mean, yeah, not to get into, I mean, I'm into politics, but we don't have stuff like that. We don't have celebrities going outside the box and pushing the envelope. Everyone's kind of a conformist here. So that's exciting though. I mean, the guy is very, very successful. So he deserves having artists kind of portray him in that way.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, but they say that Puerto Ricans are super proud. Yes, we are. And it shows with every piece of art that is made whenever one of us reaches the mountaintop, I guess.
Absolutely. We'll give you guys statehood already. Jesus.
I also wanted to ask, again, a lot of your work is inspired by popular culture, but do you have any like very personal or side projects that are not inspired by pop culture?
Well, yeah, like Christmas just being passed. I like doing artwork for gifts for people that I know. I think that's really cool. Everyone's so fortunate. I mean, in my sphere, I know that there's a lot of people that don't have the basic needs that we all deserve. But when I'm like, when I'm thinking about what can I get this person for their birthday, what am I going to get them? Like a chopping board, something boring? No, I'll draw either someone that they love, them. I actually have been getting caricatures drawn up by actually another artist from Bad Friends, Kasuke Miyagi. He did a piece for them. And so I looked him up on Instagram, and he does super affordable, lovely caricatures, and I've been just going back to him again and again. I just like supporting other artists as well. You pay it forward, you do your part. Mate, that's not my artwork, but I love doing that for other people. I think it's unique. It's something they're gonna hold on to for, their whole life, hopefully. And I like artwork that hits that vein of sentimentality and just makes people feel good. I think that's really the end goal of all artwork. If you put aside, having to pay rent, it's to make people smile, and that's all I want to do. I just want to, if someone can see Goku blended with Bart Simpson, and they go, "Oh wow, didn't think that that would exist." I think that's really special. So, yeah,
For sure, for sure. I myself have been like every year it's been difficult, more difficult to give something to my girlfriend as a gift.
yeah,
And I'm not very much of a person who likes to buy something just because. I like for it to be special. So
yeah.
if I ever hit you up for a portrait, do not be surprised.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this podcast's already paid off.
uh, Dude, I also wanted to question, as mentioned again earlier before, your work, a lot of it is inspired by pop culture, mashups, fusions. What's this creative process like? How do you choose which character to mix with which character?
Well, first I'll look at what have I already done. I don't want to kind of hit the same thing over and over again. Like I've already done some Dragon Ball Z ones. I think I have to do other franchises and stuff first. Just because you don't want to keep repeating something. I've done a lot of Pokemon stuff. A lot of, I mean, Simpsons. I mean, for every piece of artwork, I've got another Simpsons artwork. So I don't know if I'm ever going to stop doing the Simpsons stuff, just because I'm such a massive fan of the show, that I think that'll always be sort of a cornerstone to projects that I do. But other franchises, well, like the process is pretty loose. I might like write a list of characters that I like from, say, I don't know, Family Guy. I'll list the 5 characters that I think are like either the most popular, the character design is the most interesting, and it might lend itself to like, let's just say Quagmire. He's got the gigantic like chin. That's really interesting. You could do a lot with that. It's like a blank canvas almost. It's way better than, say, if you were doing something like, I don't know, just a normal character that has, like, I guess Peter Griffin's the same in that sense, that, you know, it just is, the more interesting the character design, then it gives me ideas like, oh, how can I, you know, maybe I'll do a Harry Potter character. It's very free form and there's no real hardcore structure. But the process of it is like, really, I'm grabbing reference images from the internet. I'm going in and doing rough construction drawings on my iPad with the pencil tool, and I'll just play with it a little bit. You know, it's a lot like if you were doing a collage. You're just kind of moving different pieces around and see, oh, maybe that'll work. Maybe this will open up a new idea. And then I'll basically draw it up and then drag it over to Photoshop, and I'll add color. I'll add gradients. I'll add tone, textures, other visual effects. And depending on what it's for, whether it's a t-shirt design, a sticker, a print, you know, I've just recently done some skateboards. That's going to dictate how the design is created. So it's very freeform. It's not very, you know, and a lot of these painters and visual artists, they'll have a set structure and they'll have a goal. They'll even write a proposal to sort of what the idea is. I'm a little bit more loose than that. I just like having fun with it. And especially the pop culture pieces, they're for me. They're for my own enjoyment. So I don't have to show a potential buyer sort of what the reasoning behind it was. I just like making cool shit, you know?
Sure, for sure. You mentioned Quagmire. For some reason, the character that I think at least popped into my head was the Predator, like from the sci-fi movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because he also has like a big mouth. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there you go. Like you can pretty much make any mashup work. And then the more odd, the more likelihood it's going to go viral. So, you know, I might steal that idea. Thank you so much.
Have fun with it. Have a blast, man. I also wanted to ask, earlier you mentioned NFTs.
Yes.
I've been asking all visual artists about this. You mentioned a little bit about what you think about it. So what do you think about it? What do you think, where do you see this going? You know, it's such a new thing.
Um, yeah, look, it's a loaded question. There's a lot of like vitriol online about it. Um, there's people that are completely against it, and then there are people that are obsessed with it, and it's all they
Mhm.
do. And I don't think either of those things are healthy. It's kind of like being, a social media advocate. You don't want to be completely obsessed with it. You don't want to not use it. It's a super
Mhm.
powerful tool. So the whole NFT thing, I mean, look, it might be a huge Ponzi scheme. That's possible. There's definitely talented artists in the space using the tech. So I think if you dabble in it and you make connections with people on either on Twitter, look, I stay off Twitter. It's too much for me. There's too much going on. But I think that if you make some connections with people in the industry, talk to them a little bit about it, see what they think, see if there's a project that like aligns with what you like, whether that's like the visual style of them, whether it's the utility that they offer, like what their use case is, sort of if there's any real life applications for that. That's really exciting. And I think a lot of the critics don't, the whole meme of, oh, I can just right click your NFT.
Mhm.
Sure, you can do that, but it's some NFTs are a ticket to an experience or a club, or it's a super diverse thing that you can't really sum up in 140, whatever the Twitter limit is. You can't sum it up in that. It's more diverse in its use than that. But yeah, look, there's environmental qualms, but I think that people that have an issue with that, they need to look at kind of all the different ways we have a climate catastrophe going on, and maybe prioritize your concerns a little bit more, because artists making digital images, I don't know if that's the top of the list of worries, but I like it. I've been working on a project for a few months now. And that's going to be released pretty soon. It's tough being just the artist. You don't have full control of sort of the rollout and that sort of thing. But I am the sole illustrator on this project, so it's really exciting. I'm keen to show everybody what we've got in store. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. I mean, digital artists have kind of struggled a little bit to monetize their work for a long time. So this is an exciting thing to open up, and I don't think that there should be the amount of money that there is circulating in it. I think it's ridiculous. Like if you're spending more on like a picture of an ape than a house, I think there's
Yeah.
something going on. I mean, fine art. I understand these old Legion painters that have died, and their paintings worth millions. I understand why maybe that's worth that, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of like legal money flowing in, and I mean the government's gonna stop that, so I don't really care too much. But I think it's fun, man. I think it's a fun thing. It's made me want to get into 3D modeling, which is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but that the paper chase has stopped me. I'm like, oh, I'll put down my work for a day a week and learn about it. But so this NFT stuff is kind of pushing me to develop as an artist. Maybe if it's not directly, but it's given me the thought. So I think it's positive for me personally. People can make their own decisions up, but I think it's worth having a look at.
For sure.
It's a new tech. It's exciting.
Mhm. At least getting educated on the subject would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Uh, I also wanted to ask, you mentioned that you studied 6 years ago from your
Yeah.
bachelor's. So how have you seen your growth, like artistic wise? What did you do back then that you're getting better at now?
Well, it's funny, like when I went to university straight out of high school. So a lot of people take gap years and travel and this and that. And
Mm.
I was like, no, I don't want to work in kitchens anymore. You know, I was just flipping burgers, making burritos, that sort of thing. Not, you know, I'm passionate about food, but when I don't have creative control of what I'm cooking, it's a bit like, well, I'm just trying to make ends meet here. So when I went to uni straight out of high school, I was very underdeveloped as an artist. I would draw things here and there. I wasn't a digital artist at that point. I was kind of dabbling in it, dipping my toes in. But I think once I actually graduated in 2015, I made a pretty big leap in quitting all my part-time work and kind of making the leap into doing my business, ANGVS, full-time. And as a young 21-year-old, you know, you got a lot of energy, you got a lot of pep in your step. You want to start these projects. And there was a period from 2015 to 2018 of 3 years of pretty much uploading a new artwork every single day to my Instagram. And I think that is one of the things that pushed me to become like a successful illustrator. I've got a long way to go. I'm still sort of building up my portfolio and trying to figure out I mean, I have a niche, but you want to fully realize that niche if you want to hire people in the future, or you want to do bigger things. So I think doing that 3-year stint of kind of pushing and pushing and pushing every single day, that really helped me develop the pop culture aspect of things, how to draw like people for digital portraits. I think doing that was a massive boon. I learned the fundamentals at uni, but I didn't like discover my like artistic direction, because that's more of like a visual art thing. If you do visual arts, you find out that stuff very quickly. But with illustration, you're learning about the design principles. You're learning about how to financially be literate to run your own business, and what different formats you can apply your artwork on, whether that's t-shirts, if you want to do children's illustrated books, all that sort of stuff. So I learned a lot of the fundamentals there, but it was really under my own volition to push and push and push after I graduated and learn sort of what I like to draw.
Gotcha. Was it difficult for you transitioning from, I guess, the pencil or the pen to the digital form?
It was not really. I used to draw on Adobe Flash when I was younger, like way back. I mean, I don't even think that's used anymore, but I first got into vector art, like on Adobe Illustrator. I would draw with a mouse. Like, I don't know what the hell I was doing. I was drawing with a mouse. I didn't know that tablets were a thing. But as soon as I bought a Huon tablet, that changed the game. And I sort of just went, wow, I don't even need to use paper anymore. And that's why I've got a joke. I always say I'm a fake artist because I don't use paper. You know, I tell people I'm an illustrator and they're like, oh, so paper and pencil? And I'm like, oh, no, never actually. But it wasn't too hard, you know. It streamlined everything. I didn't need to scan stuff. I didn't need to print stuff. I didn't need to buy expensive paints and stuff like that. I basically buy an iPad. It lasts me 5 years. It's very easy to manage for sure.
Of course. Not a lot of papers being cut. Not a lot of trees being cut down, of course.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, there you go. My NFT love is being counteracted by my iPad love for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned cooking earlier, how much you loved it. Is that something that you would like to pursue one day, maybe culinary arts, or no?
Man, if you want to do that, you got to kind of make that decision early on, I think, and go through the ringer working as sort of like a cook and maybe a sous chef and stuff. You know, they say something about like, you know, once you start doing something as a job, it kind of, it loses its sheen. You lose your love for it. That hasn't happened with drawing for me. I still love doing it. I wouldn't want to do that with cooking, man. I love cooking for my friends and my family. You yeah, I wouldn't want to turn that into a paper chase as well. But respect to the people that do it, because it's hard work. It's way harder than being an illustrator for sure.
Sure, for sure. Especially if you're want to have a restaurant at the same time.
Oh, I find it insane that people start restaurants. I don't know how, the amount of pressure, the amount of stress, and then just to have people kind of like either like send food back or be rude or give your restaurant like a low rating on Yelp. You're like, why am I doing this? But they give our cities life and culture. So good on them and more power to them.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I wanted to, you mentioned earlier that you're working on a project related to the NFTs, but are there any other projects or goals that you have for 2022?
Yeah, I'm starting a business this year called Bone Crusher, and it's in its infancy. I've got some ideas that I want to pursue. The idea behind it was I think October last year was like my busiest month that I've ever had. And I didn't sleep really a lot at all. And I think I posted on social media, like, who wants to be my intern, as a bit of a joke. And I actually got a bunch of messages, people being like, what's the job? You know, like, give me a rundown. And I was like, maybe that isn't so insane to think. Growing up, my dad runs his own business as well. He's a fridge mechanic, and he would tell me, don't have any overheads. You don't want any overheads. It's just, it's a trap. You know, you can do it yourself. You don't need more than one. And I'm kind of learning that it would be nice to have a little bit of help, whether that's with admin or, I don't know, with having an intern. And some of my friends are like, oh, you're going to pay them. And I was like, do you know who I am? I'm completely for paying interns. They deserve it. They do the work. Unpaid internships only divide the gap between like race and all that as well, because of opportunities. So I thought about it, and it's super affordable to have an employee, and that both helps your business grow. It helps you teach them how to do this sort of thing. Because I would love to do tutoring, but that's something down the track, you know, when I'm older, when I have a little bit more freedom with my time. But Bone Crusher is going to be, it's going to be pretty big. I want to bring people on. I want to do, as I said, clothing design, jewelry design, tattoo design. I want to see what I can do with the NFT space. I don't know what the long-term outcome for that space will be. It might not be as booming as it is now, but it's definitely interesting. I think that having sort of like a club membership, that's existed way before NFTs. So I don't see why you couldn't blend those two worlds. But yeah, that's a pretty big project that I'm excited about. Doing this job for about 6 years, I think it's time to sort of move away from ANGVS as my sole project, and maybe bring in another business would be really fun.
For sure, yeah. Branch out. I especially want to see what you do with jewelry. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
We're closing out. Like, these are like the last few questions, but I think you're younger than me. I'm not sure. But what would be your advice for somebody who wants to get into the art field?
I would say maybe, like, it depends on whether you want to be a freelancer or you want to work for a firm, or you have a publisher that you have a partnership with. It depends on that. But I would say if you're fresh out of high school or you're in high school, I would say draw something new every single day. And that doesn't have to be a fully realized piece. It could be a doodle. It could be even just an idea for a drawing. You could just come up with an idea every day, and you don't even have to follow through with it. I'm already making concessions for you, you know, but I would say just be proactive and do something every day. You only have to spend like 20 minutes, either draw something, write something down. I would say, I mean, I would say utilize social media with that. I would say either post stories, post on the Instagram, post on the Twitter. Learn if you already have a little bit of a following, keep going with that. Don't spread yourself thin doing all of the different social medias. I don't know anyone that's ever done all of them at once and done it well. I think that the more you're spending time on that stuff, the less time you're thinking creatively for your own projects. But I would say draw something every day, think of a new idea every day. They don't have to be top quality. It could just be like a little, like maybe I'll do a hat with a face on it. There you go. That's an idea. Maybe it'll come into something material in the future, maybe not. But I would say if you are an introvert, I would say make relationships online with people, because there's a lot less pressure to meet up, and maybe you get very nervous. As an extrovert, I would say go find your local art markets, find the galleries that are close to you, and like go in there and meet people. And I would say get a business card made as soon as you can and hand that stuff out to every single person. Like, people throw them out, so what? They're like 5 cents each. I personally do it with stickers. Like I've got thousands of these stickers that have my handle on them, and I'll give 5 out to random people and just say, if I ever see someone in my city walking with a skateboard, I'll just go up to them and give them a whole stack of them and say, hey, take these. Skateboarders are usually, I mean, I don't want to judge, but they're degenerates. They love artwork. They like supporting local businesses. Usually, they might not be the most wealthy, but they a lot of the time have a lot of connections in the art space. I would just say, get a business card, hand it to a bunch of people. Go to art markets. Markets aren't for me. I'm too obsessed with profit. I'm not happy with breaking even. I can't do it anymore. But I would say just talk to a lot of people and get excited about what direction you want to go in. Mine was pop culture, and then I branched out. And if you don't want to do the uni route, check out LinkedIn Learning. Cheap membership. You get free courses. You learn a lot about software. You can learn a lot about character design or animation, all of that. LinkedIn Learning's great. Look, there's a lot of stuff you can do. There's guides you can look up, but just stay productive. Procrastination is the biggest evil in a freelancer's life, because the less that you work, the less you make, the less you feel accomplished. So draw every day. There you go. I summed it up.
For sure. Stay productive.
That's it.
Learn, connect. For sure. Dude, I'd be remiss if I did not ask, but worldwide people know that the most well-known Angus is Angus Young. So I gotta ask if your name comes from that root as well.
No, I don't think so. I think that honestly, there's no fun story. I think my parents just liked the name. But Angus Young, people made that connection. Less people these days. Millennials kind of a lot of like millennial Gen Zers, they have no idea who the hell Angus Young is. So no, but my parents did meet in the Church of Scientology, so that's pretty nuts.
Super.
They're not Scientologists anymore. They were there for like a short time, but that's my interesting thing about my parents.
No. Dude, before closing off, signing off, again, where can people find your work? What's the website? All that good stuff.
My website is angvs.art, angvs.art. And my Instagram's angvs. So if anyone's interested in any sort of commissions, or they have an idea, or they want a print of something, DM me, email me at hi@angvs.art. I'd be excited to see who hears this. So if you do hear this and you want to reach out, let me know that you heard the pod, and Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Fen. It's been great.
Thank you for saying yes, dude. First things first, lots of health in these times that we're living, weird times.
Yeah.
But first and foremost, keep going. I love what you're doing, and I want to see what you keep doing in the future, especially with the jewelry. That sounds super interesting.
I'll keep you in the loop, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
We'll have to do a discount code for the podcast.
His name is Angus Smith ANGVS is the Instagram. Dude, thank you once again.
Thank you so much, man, and good luck for the future.
Yeah.